This is to subpoena the immigration records of Ilhan Omar and her alleged brother, husband, and another husband whose names I cannot pronounce. Immigration fraud and denaturalization processes, potential criminal liability, things that we needed to address.
They are already brushing this off as a nothing story. Another routine clash between committees. Just background noise in Washington. That's usually the script, right up until the lawyers start circling and everyone suddenly cares very deeply about procedure. There's an old rule in politics: when something actually matters, the first defense is to pretend it doesn't. But watch what happens next. Because today, not behind closed doors, not in leaks or speculation, on the official record, a sitting member of Congress saw her immigration history placed on the table for a potential subpoena, and that's not a casual move. You don't hear terms like denaturalization floated by accident. Words like that only surface when the stakes are real and the consequences are serious. This wasn't just oversight theater. It was a signal. So stick around, because the accusation itself isn't the most revealing part of this story. The response is, what starts as routine process is already turning into a legal fight that could challenge how we define eligibility for federal office. Now let's walk through the evidence and see why the narrative is shifting in real time.
Now, Chair recognizes Ms. Mace to speak on the Garcia amendment to her motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I support Representative Garcia's amendment, and you beat me to it. I was going to do this on the House Armed Services Committee, and I'm a little jealous that you beat me to it. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. It is the best sunshine, and if there are individuals, I don't care about party, I don't care about affiliation, this needs to be we need to get to the bottom of it and what's going on. And quite frankly, I don't think someone that allegedly is doing arms deals should be sitting on the Foreign Affairs Committee or the House Armed Services Committee. And if this is what gets to the bottom of what's happening over there, then I support it, and I support the amendment, and let's do it.
All right, but you yield back. You yield to me. So I've had several members request information about trying to determine if Ms. Omar was involved in any of the Somali fraud and this and that. The thing that I've told people is the Ethics Committee is set up to do that. That's what the Ethics Committee's sole purpose is to investigate members. So we've got a motion by Mr. Garcia to amend Ms. Mace's motion. Both the amendment and the motion seek this committee to investigate sitting members of Congress. That's not something the Oversight Committee does, but we're a Democratic committee, and I'm not telling anybody in here how to vote. You vote however you want. But that's what the Ethics Committee role is. That's their jurisdiction. And I just wanted to state that. And again, look, I'm for whatever. I'm for transparency. You all vote the way you want. This committee's wired. You're going to vote the way you want anyway. I don't think the ranking member can tell his members how to vote, and I can't tell my members how to vote. I'm just telling you that's what the Ethics Committee's sole purpose in life is. So,
Mr. Chairman,
just stating that.
on a point of order,
Mr. Chairman.
Which one do we want to, Mr. Lynch?
okay. Mr. Chairman, if I believe you're correct in your assessment that is not something within our jurisdiction. That would mean that motion would be out of order, not subject to a vote, and let's do this anyway, even though it's not within our jurisdiction.
We can do pretty much what we want in this committee, but I just want to make it very clear so we don't start going down this road, or this committee will just turn into investigating other members, whoever's in control. That's what the Ethics Committee set up to do. I'm not. Look, Ms. Mace,
someone beat
you can
their
file any
wife
motion
and it
you
was
want,
covered up, we should find out. If someone married their brother to commit immigration fraud, we should find out. That's what this committee can do.
I understand.
Let's not defame members of Congress. Mr. Chairman, I just want to add to you. I just want to agree, first of all. I think Oversight Democrats, we don't believe either of these motions should be discussed. This is not the place to be going after members in this way. If there's a concern about a member, it should be at the Ethics Committee. But if members on the majority are going to go after members in our caucus, we're going to do the same. And so if the Republican majority wants to remove this amendment or vote this amendment down completely, we would join you on that. But what we're not going to do is allow the attack on one of our members.
And I'm
Mr.
not
Chairman.
defending or opposing, I'm just saying that's what the ethics.
This is what we do up
committee is
here.
supposed to
We
do.
just protect each other, protect our own, and nobody
look,
ever gets held accountable for anything up here. That's what this whole thing is BS.
It goes to the Ethics Committee.
Chair recognizes,
Which
well,
then
we're
it dies
going
in
to
a black
vote on
hole.
this. Everybody's going to vote on this. We're going to vote on this because there's been a motion amendment. We're going to vote on the amendment and the motion.
This moment kicks off around the 12-second mark, when Nancy Mace introduces her motion in a measured, almost clinical way. No raised voice. No performance. She cites House Rule 10, the Oversight Committee's authority, and lays out her request with precision. Immigration records connected to Ilhan Omar. Questions surrounding family relationships. Possible immigration fraud. And she states the purpose plainly, to evaluate gaps in the law and potential reforms related to denaturalization. What matters just as much is what she doesn't say. She doesn't accuse. She doesn't assign guilt. She doesn't posture for cameras. She frames the entire move as oversight. That's the instant the temperature in the room changes, the response is immediate and telling. Democrats don't engage the substance of the request. Instead, they counter with escalation. Representative Garcia offers an amendment demanding subpoenas for Republican Cory Mills, pulling in military records, business dealings, DOJ communications, even a past domestic incident. None of it is connected to the original motion. All of it is tactical. And Garcia openly acknowledges the point, this isn't about Cory Mills. It's about deterrence. Investigate one of ours, and we'll return fire. That isn't accountability. It's a standoff. Next comes the emotional defense. Garcia pivots to declaring Ilhan Omar a full embodiment of the American story, just as American as anyone else in the chamber, a symbol, a fighter, proof of the dream. But that's not a legal argument. It's narrative shielding. Because if the records were irrelevant, there would be no urgency to block their review, then we reach the most revealing stretch of the hearing. All at once, process becomes sacred. The Ethics Committee is invoked. Jurisdiction suddenly matters. This committee, we're told, shouldn't be touching members of Congress at all. Translation: slow this down, reroute it, and bury it somewhere out of sight. One member even voices what's usually left unsaid, that lawmakers protect each other, and real accountability almost never happens. That wasn't a mistake. That was candor. Nancy Mace doesn't retreat. She supports the amendment, not because it helps her case, but because transparency cuts both ways. Her position is straightforward: if the records are clean, release them. If the laws exist, they apply to everyone, including the people writing them. That's when the anxiety becomes visible. Not because a vote was imminent, but because a line was being tested. Denaturalization is no longer an online talking point. It's now part of the official congressional record. In the end, Garcia pulls his amendment and moves to table the motion altogether. No extended debate. A quick vote. The issue is shelved, for now, but some things didn't get buried. Immigration fraud and denaturalization were discussed openly. Party lines snapped into place instantly. And the committee implicitly acknowledged it can examine these questions, it just usually opts not to. This wasn't a conclusion. It was a signal shot. Once subpoenas enter the discussion, the clock starts, even if leadership tries to freeze it. If you want to see what comes next before the media forgets this ever happened, stay tuned. This story isn't finished.